Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Jess, as in Jess Knows. As usual, on my way to work, and we're enjoying the Tel Aviv weather, which is very cold. No, I'm just kidding. It's not cold, especially when I think about the weather in New York, but it is raining. A little light sprinkle. I forgot my umbrella, so I realized my bag is not waterproof. And I have a computer inside. It's my work computer. And I'm just going to pray and hope for the best because I told my boss several times that if it rains and the computer gets wet and it gets ruined, it's not my fault. So this week, I got something very, very important back. I finally got my Teudat Nisuim, which marriage certificate. And so one of many unique things about living here is that there isn't really a separation between church and state. So if you want to get married here, you have to go through the Rabbanut, the religious body. And I when I went through it, I didn't think that I would have an issue. I've heard of people who say the Rabbanut's horrible and it was so difficult to get married. I'm like, what's the big deal? It's, you go, you submit your papers. That's it. Checking to see who's around me. So, and people were saying, Jessica, if you really want to make sure that you won't have any issues getting married, because I got engaged in June and we got married in September. So June, July, August, September. Okay, 3 months. Sorry, it's morning. My math isn't what it should be. Anyway, so they said that if you wanted to make sure that you get married in the time frame that you want, make sure that all your documents are in. So I spoke to my then fiance. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and submit the documents in so that we won't have any issues later on. So happy we did it earlier because he wasn't the problem. I mean, as I mentioned before, my husband's not religious. So if any one of us was going to have a problem, I thought it'd be him. But no, it was me. So I converted many years ago through an Orthodox conversion. And in Judaism, there are, let's say, 3 main sectors. There's Reform, Conservative, and Orthodox. And an Orthodox conversion is supposed to be 99% of the time accepted by the rest of the world. So then you end up having no issues when it comes to marriage or being accepted into schools, etc. And so Israel had passed a law around in 2016, so like 4 years ago at this point, that there was a known issue with conservative and reform conversions. You can get accepted to Israel, but as far as marriage goes and things of this nature, it could be problematic, and that you would have to reconvert again. But there wasn't that same thing for Orthodox conversions because Orthodox is more religious, and obviously if you convert through there, then you're quote-unquote sincere. So although I had heard about this ruling, I didn't think that it applied to me because I've been religious most of my life. So he says, you're not Jewish, or your conversion is not accepted. They wouldn't say I wasn't Jewish, but they're like, oh yeah, you need to convert again, and you need to go to classes, which is how the conversion process works here in Israel. So if you want to convert, you go and you open up a tik, a file, at the Beit Din, the religious council, and once they see that you're sincere, after rejecting you like 3 times, then you go and you go to classes for a year plus, and you go to different people for Shabbat, and you monitor and all these things. I've lived my whole life religious. I'm like, what am I going to learn from these classes that I haven't already learned? I'm always open to learning something new, but not about teaching me about what does it mean to be an Orthodox Jew. And the whole process of like this summer of discovering that and having to redo my conversion was really traumatic, because I felt my identity had been taken away from me. The rug had been pulled out from under me, and how could this have happened? How could I be in this situation? And I had to really think about it. I always said that if it came up again and my conversion was questioned, what's the big deal in just converting again? But when I said that, I mean, obviously I was a bit naive, because I didn't understand how traumatic it is for someone who doesn't know you, doesn't know your life or anything like that, to sit and judge you and say, no, you're not this. But I did it because I live in Israel, and unfortunately that's the law today, and that it can be called into question. And I just didn't want any issues for my family, my future kids. I don't want them to experience the same thing, and this is where I'm building my life. So I did it. But the questioning and having to prove and writing and getting everyone I've known, I had to give an accounting of everything that I've been doing since I was a teenager, since I got to Israel. Letters from people, communities, and I actually got a little bit messed up a bit, because I wasn't really a part of any Orthodox community. You know, I'm 32, just turned, and in my world, being religious and not like I'm, you know, a balt shuva, being married and not being married after 30 is a big deal. Not being married after 25 is also, I mean, most of my friends got married when I was between the age of 19 and 21 from that circle. So, I mean, I spent years just being me, and I didn't want to feel that I was less than because I wasn't married, because it wasn't my fault. You know, and literally now I really know that my husband was nowhere around. He wasn't in my vicinity. Sometimes he wasn't even in the same country as me. We were completely different, and we had one, which I find is definitely divine providence, because we had one chance meeting, working together. And if not for that setting and everything that I had gone through before that, I would have never married him. So it wasn't my fault that I wasn't married. So what had happened was that the video got cut off because I had to run for a bus, and I couldn't record and run. But I made it. So the experience of going through the Rabbanut definitely gave me a different perspective on the religious institute in Israel. Unfortunately, although I believe in a religious governmental body, and I wish that we could have church and state together, I just feel like unfortunately we're just not ready for it. Yeah, so that was my experience with the Rabbanut. So now I'm on my lunch break. I'm about to have some really good fish and chips. I hope this new restaurant just opened up, and I hope it's good, because I've been waiting for like a couple of months. I really need to start bringing a lunch to work, because I never do. So I end up spending a lot of money, I think. So thank you guys. I know this is a really long video, but I had to get it out there. If you have any follow-up questions about more in detail about what I went through at the Rabbanut, what do you need to do in order to get married here, steps you need to take, feel free to leave a comment. And thank you so much for following me. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment, because it's really important. All right, bye.